Namaste, namaste, my brothers and sisters. Here we are once again for the continuum of the sharings. Though in this sharing, as I have shared with you, I will be sharing more about my journey. On this day, 4 years ago, I was, as I have shared in the sharing entitled Home, at the lake shrine with Doriana Sanchez, after being welcomed by Doriana to go to Paramahansa Yogananda's lake shrine with the group I was managing at the time, Cicero. As we have spoken about before, all the signs for our journey are right in front of us. It has already been divinely written, and we heed the call to acknowledge and allow that the present moment we have been bestowed with all that is necessary for us. Though, 4 years ago, as I walked in the beautiful sanctuary of the lake shrine and meditated and was handed the book, The Autobiography of a Yogi by Doriana, I understood that I had been bestowed with the gift that I was meant to receive. The re-acknowledgement of what had been within me forever. Incarnation after incarnation, yet now it manifests. While managing a group called Cicero. Cicero. Who is Cicero? Cicero is known to be one of the greatest orators of Rome. He was also who introduced the Romans to the chief schools of Greek philosophy. He was the most influential philosopher in 100 to 63 BC. He was also known to be of inspiration to the founding fathers of the United States of America in the drafting of the Declaration of Independence, of rights of humans. His notoriety was at its utmost during the Enlightenment of the 18th century, as his influence on the leading thinkers of the Enlightenment was substantial. Once again, Cicero was the name of the group I was managing. I was down with a dear friend of mine named Tommy D, who had mixed multiple of my records, actually had worked directly with Tupac on mixing his last record, Machiavelli. I was with Tommy D at Dave Aaron's studio called the Hollywood Way Studios in Burbank. And I was in the room with Devontae Swing. And when we were with Devontae, two young men walked into the room, and Devontae said, "These guys are really incredible." After talking with Nico, who was a member of the group, he said, "Come back to the room and listen to our music." 30 minutes went by, and as I was walking down the hallway later, Nico said, "Are you coming back to the room to listen to our music?" I saw Nico in the hallway, and I said, "Yes." I went back, And Anthony and Nico were in the room. They turned on their music, and 3 songs into it, a voice came to me and said, if you walk out of this room, you are walking away from your destiny. Now, I had moved to Hollywood to pursue the entertainment. I had started my show Above Par, which was a golf show, and I had filmed it from coast to coast. I had been living in the Hollywood Hills in the very high energy and high frequency and very loving Laurel Canyon, right by the Laurel Canyon store, a couple blocks from where Jim Morrison lived, a couple doors down from where John Lennon first arrived when he came to Hollywood, close to Rick Rubin, and close to Harry Houdini. I was gifted the home I was living in. The doors open and I was gifted the place I was bestowed to stay. Though this sharing is about self-realization and being at the Lake Shrine, so that background on Cicero and the journey to Hollywood and the chase for materialism is all very much so intertwined. Because I had been sitting in a meeting with Doriana to discuss what she was working on and potentially placing music for dances that she was choreographing on So You Think You Could Dance, a TV show for Cicero. Though Cicero, the main influence to the Enlightenment, the man who brought Greek philosophy and the chief schools of Greek philosophy to Rome. And hearing the voice saying, go, thinking that it was the continuation of the musical journey. That was what the destiny was leading me towards after years of recording albums and traveling across the nation and internationally performing and releasing music, album after album, deeply rooted in the music industry, owning a studio for years, performing night after night, and immersing myself in the party of it all. Though here I stood at the Lake Shrine, knowing that moment, what I heard, heeding the call, not walking away from your destiny, was actualizing right as I stood there. And I was bestowed at that moment a bag with this book in it, the Autobiography of a Yogi. And as I looked at the book, I was almost astonished because growing up, my mother had a book that would sit on my shelf and ended up in my sock drawer in my room when I was growing up. That was the same cover, the same face, the sayings of Paramahansa Yogananda. It had been with me by my bedside through middle school, high school, through my journey through music. 550 pages in the Autobiography of a Yogi. I had never read a book fully. Really, 550 pages? To sit down and read that seemed like a monumental task. Though this was such a loving gift from such a beautiful being. that I knew where I was in my journey and on my hikes up to the prayer box, standing in the sun and seeing the truth behind the entertainment industry, that there was much more, and that this gift, standing at this sanctuary, surrounded by little plaques that acknowledge the 5 world religions and the unity of them all, that I was where I was meant to be. I went home and I said to myself, as I shared before, that I read 10 pages a night. 10 pages a night. I thought I could get through it slowly but surely. That's all it is, step by step, right? And I was reading it, 10 pages, every night, every day. But I also at that time was smoking a lot of marijuana after traveling for years with Bone Thugs and Harmony, and a couple of years prior to that being one of the main artists performing at the main stage in the Shadow of the Space Needle for Hemp Fest. And all the musical evenings being shared with melodies and marijuana. I was smoking weed while I was reading the book, smoking a blunt. Actually, at that time, probably about 10 blunts a day at the most, but consistently smoking. And it would calm me. It would make me look within. And as I was reading the book, the words resonated with me. And it all points to within. Everything is within. And I always had felt this, just like I said in the sharing of home, and that I've shared many times. I felt like I had wrote the words in this book, in the Autobiography of Yogi. And as I was reading the book days and days, I was smoking one evening, and I ran out of marijuana. And I was at a part where it's talking fully and sharing fully in the book about it's all within. And I said, I have to go down and get some more. I'm going to continue reading because I was becoming immersed in the book. So I was going to go to my shop right on La Cienega and go get some more marijuana and continue reading. But it resonated with me that it's already within. It's already within me. What am I doing? Leaving right now. And this feeling's within me. If I could carry this peace within me, I would be high off life. That New Year's, I smoked my last blunt 4 years ago as well. Well, 3 years ago and 9 months. And I meditated every day, now in the morning and evening. And I have never been higher in my life. The peace clearing within, knowing that inside of me, the infinite dwells, and that I had to pull away the layers that I had built up that blinded me from my own being, my own self-realization. That this was the acknowledgement I heard when standing in that studio room that said you would be walking away from your destiny if you left this room and didn't continue forward. While managing my brothers, Cicero, the door was opened to Paramahansa Yogananda's Self-Realization Fellowship, which then continued opening the doors to Lao Tzu, Manly P. Hall, Alan Watts, Ram Dass, and it just continues. Buddha, the teachings of the sadhus and the yogis, the Hermetic teachings, the mystery schools, the Freemasons. It is all one. It is all self-realization. It is all one. And it is all within, as I have shared many times. And as 4 years ago, this divine gift was bestowed to me in perfect timing, 2012. And I acknowledged and reawoken what was within my essence. And I've spent the years peeling back the layers, going deep within to what the true purpose of the SR was. As I've shared also before, the SR was the logo of my record label. See real. I saw real. Self-realization. And through Cicero, who was the inspiration of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, for those to heed their call forward, break away from what the control of the time was, and believe, self-realize in their being. And as Paramahansa Yogananda so beautifully taught, and as all the illuminating teachers have shared, it is all within you. You and the infinite are one, and God lies within and manifests without. I leave you with 2 quotes from Cicero. The first, as we acknowledge that it's all God, says, "A friend is, as it were, a second self. You are all my friends, for you are all one with me." And as I heeded my call forward and came back to the Morningtide Ashram and went deep within and transcended and evolved from where I was in my materialistic and entertainment journey, preparing for what my purpose of being here now is, preparing for the sharing of our essence and dissemination of our truths, of our being. I reflect upon the quote of Cicero that says, "I have always been of the opinion that the unpopularity earned by doing what is right is not unpopular at all, but glory." Yes, glory. Self-realization. And as this day 4 years ago I stood at the lake shrine, I share with you a quote by Paramahansa Yogananda that says, "Self-realization is in fact the true purpose of religion, no matter how people define their beliefs." Heed your call. Acknowledge your truth. Know thyself. I am with you. Agape Ananda. Know you are loved. I am home. I believe, and I am love. Namaste.